Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. So hope you all had a good weekend and hope you're all ready for another week. So this week looks a little bit tricky. I'm going to run through the pairs in a minute. Last week the price action was quite strange. We basically just moved in one direction all week. So I think we are due a pullback on majority of the pairs. But let's run through it and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So guys, starting with the dollar index. So you can see last week we're at this level here, and I was expecting some sort of bounce up into these trend lines, this inner trend line or this outer trend line. But you can see here we just broke through and we never come back for that retest. That's what I mean by the markets are quite tricky this week. And you can see here cross-referencing that on Euro USD. You can see we just moved up and up and up, broken through all these key levels, and 9 times out of 10 when we break a key level we'll come back and retest it. Or at least once we've had this run, we'll come back, retrace before then pushing higher. But you can see we just pushed up and up and up, and we've had no real pullbacks, and you can see that on quite a lot of the pairs. See USD CAD just trickling down, very slight pullback here, but it's not enough. It's the same with Euro Yen. See, we've had this massive bull run. Well, we've had a nice shooting star on the daily here, but you can see the weekly, it's just so strong and it's breaking out of this market structure, this being the last lower high. So anyway, let's get back to the dollar index. So guys, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago I predicted that we'll pop into this 94 region, and you can see we're on our way there now. We're at just below the 97 region, but you can see just on this 4-hour time frame we've just been like trickling down with very small pullbacks. And let's just go to Euro USD a second. Like, if we know the USD is dropping off, obviously we can buy Euro USD, because buying Euro USD means you're selling the dollar. So you can see here last week, the last Friday candle, we were right on this weekly resistance. So you never want to buy at resistance or sell at support. That's just it's just not going to work out well for you in the end. So what I was looking for at this resistance is a pullback at least to this 1.100 level and make this third touch of this trend line look something a bit like that. And the same with this dollar. So we're at this region last week, we're at this support, so I was expecting a bounce into these trend lines, but we never got that. You can see we just trickled down, so we couldn't get involved. Like I say, you don't want to just, we don't trade the dollar index, but this is just an example. You don't want to have a sell here right off this support. Like, yeah, it worked out in this case, but that's very rare for it to happen. You want to wait for this pullback into this area so that you can get a better entry, and you've got a bigger chance of being right, and then you can take this trade down to here. So what I'm looking for now, I'm looking for some sort of pullback after this big bear run on this dollar index, back up to this level at least. So you can see here we've broken out of this market structure. So I'm expecting price to come back into this 98 region before then pushing lower. And let's just get rid of this inner trend line. So this outer trend line here, let's just put a Fibonacci on. So it might push a little bit lower. As I said, we normally continue Friday's move on Monday morning. So it might have a little push lower, and then this will be an ideal setup for the dollar, and we can cross-reference that on Euro USD. So a little push down beginning of the week. I'm expecting this pullback into this 98 region, make this 50% retracement, retest this market structure and make this third touch this trend line, and then we can take this trade down to this 94 region. You can see this extension now lining up with higher time frame 61 retracement. Let's just zoom out, clean this up a little bit. So I had this retracement level here on from a few weeks ago on this monthly time frame of the DXY, and you can see here I was expecting price to come into this 94 region where the 61.8 retracement is, and you can see on this lower time frame little mini Fibonacci, this 61.8 lines up perfectly in that area, and obviously to make this third touch of this trend line as well. So I'm expecting the dollar to come into this region. So that's my take on the dollar, guys. So expecting this little pullback into this 98 region before then heading lower for its second leg into this 94 region. So guys, Euro USD, I think we're banging our head on this third touch of this trend line here. Yeah, so expecting a pullback at least, but you can see we're just so bullish at the moment. Just delete this a second. So where do I think we can have a retracement to? Well, you can see we've got this market structure in this area here, so we might actually come back to this weekly support level of 1.11250. Sorry, I've broken out so many key levels, I've got to change them all. So what I'm expecting is, starting from this level here, we might come in and make this 38.2 retracement here, which lines up this weekly support. And when we have such a strong run like this, when we do have a retracement, it's only normally like a short retracement. So coming back to this weekly support region before then carry on its bullish move up to this weekly resistance 1.150 level. So you can see we're correlating our bias on Euro USD with this dollar index. So short term push up into these regions, make this retracement and then pushing lower, and you can see here on Euro USD pulling back into this region, this 1.11250 level, before then making its second leg to the upside, which will also fill in that gap for the DXY, predicting that 94 region. So that's Euro USD. Like I say, it's quite tricky after such a bullish run, but we do expect some sort of pullback now into this region before moving higher. So pound New Zealand, guys, another pair here that's just been moving one way without any like pullbacks at all. So what I'm looking for here, we've got this 0.1, 0.2, looking for the 0.3 of this trend line, and looking for a retracement here up into the 61 area. So looking at the weekly time frame, you can see we're really bearish. We've broken out of two key levels here, so we definitely can move lower. So we want to be looking for our shorts and get involved on this, and this will be a good setup where we can look for this short and ride this trade lower, possibly back down to this 1.9050 level. You can see the 61.8 retracement, sorry, the 61.8 extension here line up with this key level. This is a weekly support key level, 1.9050. So that's what I'm going to be looking for this week, guys, on this pound New Zealand. So guys, moving on to pound CAD. So I just want to mention before we carry on, just by analysing these pairs, I can see next week's going to be a slow or tricky week for us. So that's, once you start to recognise this, you can either bring your risk down from 1% to like 0.5, or you can trade less for that week. So what you got to understand is not every week's going to be a good week, or not every week's going to give you loads of opportunity. But anyway, moving on to this pound CAD. So you can see the last few weeks we've just been moving sideways, guys. We are back below this weekly resistance, which makes it tricky. And you can see we've got this support area over here, which you could say inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, if you just look at this side of the screen. So the daily, we have closed as a shooting star off this weekly resistance, but because we got this support region over here as I highlighted, I do think we're long term we are pushing higher. But just putting this trend line on here, guys, you can see we haven't quite made this third touch yet, so I think price can come into this area. So I think that's why we're consolidating at the moment. I think we might continue to consolidate before we then make this third touch of this trend line. Just see what Fibonacci lines up. So yeah, we have got this 78.6 as well, so we might consolidate or push into this region, make this third touch of this trend line, and I think from here then we're going to have a big bull run. So as I say, not every setup's going to be simple, but once you put your key levels on, like this trend line and Fibonacci, you've got a good area of where you think price can head. Because when we have a third touch of the trend line, just say we've got a trend line here, price has touched it once, twice, and just say we just come shy off that third touch, eventually we're going to come down and make that third touch before then having the big push. So that's what I'm looking for here. We've just come shy of this trend line in this region here. So I'm expecting price to fill in this gap before then pushing up higher. So on this pair, I'm not really looking for shorts because you can see the risk to reward is very slim. You see you have to target this area. It'd just be a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward, and that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the 1 to 3s plus. So just going to have to be patient on this, guys. Let price show us what it wants to do. Hopefully we can get an entry from this area here and take this trade back up to these key levels, potentially the 1.750 level. So you can see here then we get a nice risk to reward, a 1 to 5 trade, and that's what we're looking for, the swings in the markets, not the 1 to 1.5 risk to rewards. So guys, moving on to euro pound. So we had a nice trade here last week from this area back up to this 0.8980 level, and what we've created now, we've created this head and shoulders. So left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So this area here is the neckline of this head and shoulders, and as I always say, the neckline of a head and shoulders always acts as support or resistance. So coming down to this daily time frame, you can see we've got this ascending trend line here. Just go out to the weekly. So 0.1, 0.2. See a bit better on the daily, 0.1, 0.2, and we're waiting for this third touch. So what I'm looking for here, just drop down to the 4 hour. I'm waiting for price to take out these lows over here and fill in this gap. So once again, we might consolidate for a bit before we make our way to this trend line, and I'm waiting for price to come into this area, take out these lows, before then we can get on a long position once again and hopefully take this trade up to these levels. So guys, moving on to CAD Swiss, this is the price action we were at last week, and I was expecting price to make this third touch of this trend line, but you can see we just come shy of this and we pushed off. So what I'm looking for now is I am looking for price to come into this area. You can see we take this low here for this Fibonacci, and we got the 61.8 retracement on this weekly support level on this third touch of this trend line. So I'll be looking for price to come into this area before then trading this pair for the second leg to the upside, back up to the 0.73 region. So we've had a nice bullish engulf in here on the weekly time frame, which is good. So that signals price can carry on pushing higher. So we want to be looking for a pullback of some sort so we can jump in on this trade. So I'm just going to show you an example quickly of the risk to reward. So because we've got a good understanding of this price moving higher, you can't just enter the trade here, because then you need your stop loss below this weekly key level here, and you can see you'd have to target the next key level and you'd have a 0.7 risk to reward, and taking trades like that in the long run, it's just not going to make you money. So we need some sort of pullback, as I said, into this region so we can take this trade, and then we can have an entry here, stop loss just below this key level, target in this, and you can see then we get that good risk to reward. So moving on to Aussie Yen, so a very strong weekly bullish engulfing here on this weekly time frame. The daily slowing down a little bit here on price action, but another tricky pair, because if you go back to the weekly time frame, you can see we're in a clear downtrend here, and this area here that I've highlighted is the last lower high of this downtrend. So guys, the whole point of these videos is for you to learn something from these videos, and I'm showing you the tricky setups as well as the setups that I think can play out, and these tricky setups here can hopefully teach you something, and when to hold back off a trade and when to be patient. So you can see here we're on this last lower high of this downtrend. So before we break this lower high, we're still in this downtrend. Yeah, we've had a nice bullish engulfing here on the weekly, but if we can't break this last lower high, then we can look for this short, because we're still in this downtrend, as I said. So this here is another tricky pair, because we're back above this weekly key level, sorry, monthly key level, but also we're still in a downtrend on the weekly, and we've had this weekly bullish engulfing. So another thing, guys, we've broken out of these trend lines here, but just because you break a trend line doesn't mean you've broken the trend, because as I mentioned, this is the last lower high and we're still in this downtrend. So this being the last lower high, we just got to wait for more price action to show us something here. As I said, if we break this, then the downtrend is invalid. What I'd like to look for here is a break of this lower high, break this downtrend market structure. Then we can look for this big retracement here. We can get in a short trade from this key level here back down to this monthly support, and then we can look for the bigger trade up to the upside. So that's when you can incorporate hedge trading, but that's for another video. So this is the ideal setup I'm looking for, guys, on Aussie yen. I'm looking for this downtrend to be broken, because following this momentum here, I do think we can break this, but this is when you've got to just wait, because we are still in this downtrend, as I said. So just be patient on this, wait and see what happens here. Hopefully we can break above this, and then we can look for this retracement from this level back down to this area. You can see we've got this third touches trend line here that's been broken. We might actually come in, let's just delete these a second, might actually come in, retest this. You see another weekly key level here lines up with this broken trend line, 72,750. So short term, back up to this area, this 79 region on Aussie yen, if we can break this last lower high. Medium term, back down to this weekly 72,750 or 74 region. Before then, the long term push to make new highs following this new uptrend. So that's pretty much it, guys. I know a few of the pairs this week quite confusing and not giving us any like clear direction. I think there's a couple good pairs that can play out. Pound New Zealand could be a good one if we get this retracement, and also Euro Pound as well. If we can get into this region, we can get along. But as mentioned, the price action last week was very strange, so making this week quite tricky. So the main reason for these videos, guys, is for you to learn. Yeah, we had quite a good week last week. A lot of pairs were setting up for us nicely, but I'm not just going to show the good, I'm going to show the bad as well. And this week, obviously, not really providing us with much, but that's just trading. You're going to get good times and you're going to get bad times. Not every week's going to be like sunshine and rainbows and providing with loads of setups. But I thought I'd do this video anyway, guys, because I feel like you can still learn stuff. The thing is, with most people, just say 1 week, like this week, the markets aren't providing them with much, they'll still be taking the same amount of trades they do on a good week, and they'll be over trading and taking trades that they probably shouldn't be taking. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. Not every week's going to be a good week, and not every week is going to be a week where you can take 5 trades. There's been weeks where I've took 1 trade or no trades, and there's been weeks where I've taken, I don't know, 8 or 9 trades. So just recognise that, guys, and like I say, I hope you learned something from these videos. But if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when we upload. And if you want to join our free Discord chat, the link is in the description below. You can join that and talk to like-minded traders and like-minded people achieving the same sort of goals you're on. Well, yeah, guys, we'll see you in the next video.